I ride Kawasaki Versys for the last 7 years. First the second generation and now the third generation. But I never did a proper review, so maybe it's time for it. I'm MotoAndy and I'm a user, Kawasaki Versys user. Wow, sounds like an AA meeting. So, the Kawasaki Versys 1000 SE. I will talk today about this model, not about my previous model, second generation Versys 1000. However, I'm gonna compare these bikes from time to time to show you what are the differences. And of course, I will start with the engine. So this is 4-cylinder 1045 or 49 cc engine. Very good and very smooth. It's the same engine that was in a previous generation, but there are a few differences. Second generation Versys had a different throttle body drive. Throttle body was driven by steel cable. This one is ride by wire, which means that throttle body is driven electronically. And that makes really big difference while driving. When the throttle bodies are driven by the steel cable, engine get very jumpy. It is very difficult to catch a moment when you can gently ride away. So if you let the throttle go and then you give a gas, it starts jumping. It's not happening here because that's electronically driven. Everything is super smooth. And what I like the most about this engine is its flexibility. This engine is so smooth, you can ride 30 kilometers per hour on 6th gear. You open the throttle and that thing is just going. And that means that the engine has really big range. Theoretically, you can ride the twisties without changing gears. You just go to the 3rd gear, you open the throttle, and it will go in the low range revs and in the high range revs. It doesn't matter, it's so flexible. Look at that, I'm riding 25 kilometers per hour right now on the 2nd gear. No problem at all. Now the 3rd gear, 25 kilometers per hour. No problem at all. Now I have 4th gear, 25 kilometers per hour. No problem again. 5th gear, 25 kilometers per hour. And it goes without problems. Okay, let's try with the 6th gear. I don't know if it's gonna happen with 25 kilometers per hour because that's very low. 25. And it's going. Of course, to ride like that it's just stupid, so I never do that. I did it right now just to show you how flexible this engine really is. So if you are in the twisties and you set yourself a 3rd gear, you can go 25 and you can go 125. So really you don't need any other gears than 3rd. You can manage twisties just with a 3rd gear. The ride is incredibly smooth. I really love this engine. There's the only one thing I would like to have in this engine, a little bit more power. But I'm recording this video in October, and a few weeks ago Kawasaki introduced a new Versys with the new 1100cc engine, which has about 10 Newton meters and 15 horsepower more. If you ask me what I hate about this bike, well, that's this thing, a Quickshifter. It's supposed to change the gears very smoothly up and down. It's not, it's jumping like crazy. You have to push this lever very hard up or down to change any gears. And it happened so many times when I was on the road and I want to change quickly the gear from 5th to 6th and I pushed not hard enough the lever. What happened? Well, it jumped to 2nd gear and then jumped in between gears. And when you are on the full throttle, it doesn't sound good. Because this is SE model, I have here electronic suspension. And it's not just regular electronic suspension, it's a skyhook suspension. What does it mean? Well, it means that the bike hanging in the air in a vertical position and all the suspension is working. But it doesn't mean that this suspension is perfect. It has its flaws. And I'm going to show you one of it. Right now ignition is off, which means that the pump for the suspension doesn't work. Now look closely what is happening with the suspension on the backside. The bike is incredibly soft. Look what happened when I turn on the ignition. Bike is getting stiffer. You can say, well, and it's not a big deal. Well, it is when you're riding with the full gear on. When you have heavy loaded bike, the bike is not stable when the ignition is off. And if you want to get on the bike from this side, yeah, it's very easy to tip it off. It's incredible, but look the difference when the ignition is on. I can get on the bike without problems. I have to be really careful to not drop the bike. So is the skyhook suspension worth its money? Well, if you're going to do a lot of touring like I do, you will notice the difference. If you're just commuting to work, I don't think you're going to notice anything. Personally, I think the ride is a bit smoother. Skyhook suspension was introduced to this model in 2022, so the first 3 years of third generation, so 2019, 2020, 2021, was with electronic suspension, but it wasn't a skyhook. From 22, Versys SE comes with a skyhook. Electronic suspension has 3 settings for a single rider, for the single rider with the luggage, or rider pillion and the luggage. And there are as well 3 ride modes, so sport, road and rain. Because of its electronics, because of electronic suspension, there's a lot of settings which you can use in here. But to be honest with you, I'm not really about sitting and playing with these settings, suspension setting, rider setting, and blah blah blah, because I think it's just waste of my time. I rather ride good road on a good tires, and that is enough for me. So maybe one day I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna tell you all about these settings here, about the rider setting and the pre-settings. But right now I just don't use them. Versys has as well an app for the phone which is called Rideology, where you can do all funny stuff. You can check your bike, you can do many things with it, but I'm not using it. I rather ride some interesting roads. Another thing I love about this bike, and it has not so much to do with suspension, is the balance of this bike. This bike is so incredibly well balanced that the riding in the corners is very simple. It is enough that you push with one finger just a little bit your handlebars and the bike just diving into the corners. This bike is incredibly nimble. Just look at that. A little push on the handlebars and it goes wherever you want. I can do exactly the same thing just by leaning my body to the right or to the left, just balancing with the body. The bike is going wherever I want him to go. No questions asked. I have never ridden another bike that was so easy to steer and that was behaving in the corners so smooth like this one. And because of its incredible balance, setting this bike on a center stand, it's really not a problem. You could probably do it with one hand. Simple as that. And if you don't believe me, I can do it all day long. In my previous Versys second generation I did change the exhaust. The original exhaust was way too quiet and too heavy, so I changed it for an Akrapovic exhaust. This one sounds much better. It's pretty loud, it sounds almost the same as my Akrapovic exhaust. The only problem is its weight. But I decided that I'm not gonna change it because first of all I like the sound of this one, and the second, the very nice Akrapovic exhaust for this third generation Versys cost almost 900 euros. Well, I'm not gonna pay that. Third generation Versys has a new brakes. It has Kawasaki brakes. If I remember correctly, second generation has Nielsen brakes. Are they any better? A little bit. But Yamaha, for example, has much better brakes. So what I would love to see in the Versys, well, I would gladly see here a Brembo brakes. Of course, third generation Versys have different fairing, which at the beginning I was very skeptic about this weird big, but with time it grew on me, and actually I find it quite, well, interesting. I wouldn't say nice. Of course, the first thing I did change in this Versys was the screen, but that's nothing strange for me. I always changing the screens on the bikes. I never had a bike with original screen. I never was happy with original screens, and the same story was with this one. It was a touring screen, but it just didn't work for me. I had a lot of buffering on my helmet, so I changed for this push screen, and I made, of course, this deflectors. There is a video about that, so you can watch. I'm going to put a link somewhere on the screen. And of course I have a clip-on, which I'm using when I'm traveling far away. My second generation Versys had regular lamps with the H4 bulbs, so I'm very glad that Kawasaki decided to upgrade the whole bike with LEDs. So we have LED headlights, we have LED cornering lights, of course we have LED fog lights, and the rear light is as well LED. The cornering lights, they are amazing. They're working flawlessly and they really make a difference when you're riding in the dark. The cornering lights have 3 LEDs and each one turn on depends of your leaning angle. So if you lean just a little bit, only one light goes on. if you lean a bit more, then there's the second and the third. And they're doing that because the bike has a sensor, a gyroscope. I bought this Versys with the GT package, which means that it came with the top case and the side cases. And the original side cases, well, they're very nice and they look good on the bike, but they are really not practical. So I did the only logical thing and I bought another side cases, shod side cases. And this is the bracket to mount them. I was complaining quite a lot about this top case from Kawasaki, because you see this is actually a top case which is made by GV. It's a GV V47, which means 47 liters. And I had both of them. I had original GV V47 on my Yamaha, and I had two of those on my Kawasaki's. And I have to say, even this one is made by GV, it is not that good as original GV. Original GV looks better, feels better, all the locks working much better. This one, everything is wrong here. So I don't know why GV made a worst quality for Kawasaki. It's a really mystery to me. What can I say about the seat on the Versys? Well, Versys have pretty good seat. It's wide, it's soft, it's kind of comfortable, but I'm never happy with these bike seats. I'm always having discomfort after a long riding. So it's not really about the seat, it's about me. That's why I always looking for something better. And in my second generation Versys, I did change my seat for a Boxster, which was quite expensive, 450 euros. And actually it wasn't much better. So this time I decided I won't buy any custom seats. So I chose for the sheepskin. Some call it roadkill, but it is cheap solution and it did cost me just 25 euros. It's good enough for me. It's comfortable, it's warm, so why not? So is this Kawasaki Versys SE third generation better than its previous brother second generation? Well, this one in my opinion is a little bit smoother. It rides a little bit better because the electronic suspension. It looks a little bit better than the old one. Has more fun electronics which you can play, you can do all the settings. It is very comfortable on the long distances and it is very reliable. I never had any problems with my Versys. It always starts, it always stops. It's just a great bike for traveling. I think I said all I know about the Versys. If I did forget something and you want to know something more, just write me your questions in the comments and I will try to answer them, and maybe I'll do an update video. We'll see about that. So I think that's all about in this video. I'm gonna ride some more now because it is October and it's beautiful weather, so why not? Thanks for watching guys, and of course see you in the next one.